What's up everyone, my name is Mike and welcome back to my channel, and I just thought I'd make a video addressing my previous video talking about being all out on VEVE, selling all my collectibles. Let's get into this. So if you watched my last video, I actually talked about selling all of my collectibles. That was the title of it. And at the point of making that, I had all of my collectibles listed but one, and they were slowly selling while I was making that video. And it got to a point where I actually almost sold all of my collectibles from that. There was a couple that held out that I couldn't sell, and they continued to drop, and they've actually been the ones that dropped the most that I could have made the most on in that differential, but it didn't work out that way. Still, with this announcement of the Golden Moments Disney duos, we saw a major gem squeeze, a pretty good gem squeeze where I've seen a good differential in my collectibles, and I'm ready to enter back into the market coming up to when these are going to be dropped tomorrow. So it seems I've planned it fairly well, but I just want to talk about this a little bit further, just based on the comments that I got in the comments section. Perhaps I didn't communicate it properly enough. Perhaps that was a mistake that I made. But ultimately, evidently, I went for a little bit of clickbait in that title. But that title definitely suggested in my actions that I was doing, I was definitely selling all of my collectibles. And that's why I put that in the title. And it is actually what I followed through on and what I tried to do. But there was this very specific reason why I did that. And the first thing that I want to address is that me selling all of my collectibles does not mean that I am all of a sudden flipped a switch and I'm now bearish on VEVE. I don't believe in VEVE, anything like that. That's not what that means. I identified a point in time where I felt like a gem squeeze was going to happen. Big news was coming, and I identified that. I decided in this point in time that I wasn't going to add any more gems onto the platform. I was completely done with that because the money that I put onto VEVE is my play money. It's my fun money. It's not necessarily for investing, and I'm totally willing to 100% lose this money, see that money go to zero, because VEVE is still a very speculative thing, and you should actually plan on doing the same. And I'm going to address this a little bit later in this video. But what I decided there was to, instead of loading up more gems, was to sell at a point that I knew or I felt that the market was going to take a slight decline. Now, a slight decline for VEVE, I feel, is at least 20% because of the Marvel, the Disney licensor fees, and the VEVE fee as well, adding up to 8.5%, we need to exceed that 8.5% to see some sort of a return. My plan was not to make a video where I'm all out of VEVE. I have no intention of getting back into VEVE. This was a completely very short-term flip to add more gems into my wallet in a non-traditional way of going about doing it. My thought process was, I'm not going to add more gems to my wallet. I am not going to see my collectibles go up in this next week leading up to the weekend where we typically see bigger drops. And 3, likely we were going to see a gem squeeze for a big announcement coming out. So if I'm not adding more gems to my wallet, if I'm not going to see an appreciation in my collectibles so that I can sell one to have gems in my wallet, then I'm left with option number 3, which is to exit out of my positions for a very short term, and then when everything dips a little bit, get back into my positions, and that will free up the money that I have in my wallet to be able to use those gems on future drops. This is a very short-term flip. I'm not intending on making a huge amount of money on this move, but it was a very calculated move that I figured something was coming. That worked out in my favor, so that's a little bit of luck. But I also figured that there's a gem squeeze coming up leading up to the weekend, and that's where I could capitalize on the difference between selling and then picking up at a more of a discount all of the collectibles that I had a position on. All things said, it is not a huge amount because, like I said, you need to factor in that 8.5% fee that gets taken off when you sell a collectible. So I need to exceed that 8.5%. My goal was 20% minus that 8.5% to get around that 12% range in terms of a return on investment for this risky move. I think I'll hit that or slightly exceed it depending on how things play out for the remainder of the day and into the following day. But it's worked out a little bit in my favor so that I will have those excess gems to deploy into the market or to use for future drops. I fully intend on getting back into the market with the gems that I have. I may vary the collectibles that I'm going to repurchase into depending on the percentages that things drop, but this is always my plan because I'm still a big believer in VEVE, in the platform, and for the long-term future of VEVE. I saw a lot of people comparing investing into VEVE to the stock market in the comments, and I really want to dissuade you into thinking like that with this. It's good to think of investing as following a certain strategy and to hold for the long term. I completely agree with that strategy. But if you're comparing VEVE, a very volatile investment strategy, to investing into, say, the stock market, which you can get a little bit safer by investing into broad index funds. Obviously, you can still get pretty risky in the stock market, but if you're comparing investing into VEVE to the stock market, I worry that you're putting money into VEVE that you are not willing to lose. I fear that you are thinking of VEVE as it's going to make you rich. It's going to bring lots of money to you in the long term, and that might not be the case, and you do not want to put money into this platform that you are not willing to lose 100%. Like I said, this is my play money, this is my fun money. I have no worry if this goes down to zero. It's not going to affect my life in any way whatsoever. This is my game plan with VEVE. So me taking a calculated risk that I know what I am gambling on, because it was a gamble at the end of the day, I completely agree with that, but I knew the risks involved with it, and I knew that I had a threshold in mind that if my collectibles went up by this amount, I'm going to take the loss, get back into my positions, and just wipe it clean. That loss I take, whatever. But I advise you to take a look at what you're putting into VEVE and to be really careful with the money that you continue to put into VEVE if you're comparing it to a more safer investment. This is my worry in a general around VEVE as a whole, because I see a lot of investors in it, not collectors, even though it's a collector's app. And when the markets on VEVE take this dip that we've seen, this extended dip, people get really angry, and I'm afraid that these are the people that have this money into this platform that they are not willing to lose, that they're not willing to let go to zero. They're treating this as if it is an investment that's going to make them rich in the long term. Such a wrong approach, in my opinion, to this. And I really fear for those people that have that kind of money into the platform. Additionally, VEVE has a very predictable pattern when it comes to gem squeezes. Something that we don't see necessarily in the stock market. And if you saw it in the stock market, it would be exploited and there wouldn't be this pattern anymore. The reason why it happens in VEVE is because it's such a small user base still when compared to the whole stock market. So we still see these gem squeeze cycles, and we can take advantage of it. It's still extremely risky. I completely agree with that, but there are still these cycles and you cannot deny them. We see them time and time again. The lucky part to this is that there needs to be an announcement of a drop on the weekend. So you need to sell at the right time leading up to that weekend before the announcement, and then get back in just before the drop or leading up to the drop to be able to maximize the amount of gems you're gonna make off this move. Am I advising you to do this, what I've done? No, absolutely not. You should not do it, especially if you're not willing to take the risk, because there is definitely a major risk involved with it. Am I going to continue to do this? Yes, I'm going to continue to do this because, like I said, this is my fun money, this is my play money, this is what I'm going to continue to do, and I will keep you updated with a video on how this worked out at the beginning of next week and when I plan on doing it again. For now, I don't plan on doing it next week. I'm going to stay in my positions because we've got a VEVE announcement coming out mid next week, and just based on it being a pre-recording, I feel like this could be some really big news, so I'm not going to risk it either way. I want to be very calculative with these risks and basically time gem squeezes, not news that I do not know which way it's going to swing. So next week, I'm going to stay out of doing this move, but in future weeks, you can count on me to continue to try and play these gem squeezes, ride the waves, whatever it might be. I'd love to know your comments, suggestions, anything that you think about what I talked about in this video. I'd love to know your thoughts. Leave it in the comment section below. Keep it civil. Do not attack me. Attack my moves, my thought process, what I'm thinking. Calling me stupid does not get your point across in any way, shape, or form. But disagreeing with my thought process is absolutely fine. I would love to engage with the chat with you. Like this video if you found it at all helpful for whatever reason whatsoever. It really helps me with this channel and to get this content out there into more people's eyes and ears on YouTube if that's what you want, as well as a subscribe. That goes a really long way for me and this channel. If you want more VEVE content, thank you so much for watching.